Hello guys and welcome back. Happy New Year to everyone. This is the first podcast of 2023 and it's our episode number 10. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to recover our old podcast, so it is out there still, but this one looks like a brand new one, even though it's not brand new. But never mind, new year, new podcast. That's what we're going to go with. So basically, today we are joined by Katlyn Bentley. Katlyn is a gym goer from Bodybuilding Plymouth with us. Basically, that's where we all train. And we brought her on today because we're going to be talking about competing for the first time. And Katlyn, you competed for the first time last year, right? In 2022?
Yeah.
Excellent. And who was that with?
Amanda Winston.
Cool. So Amanda coached you, and it was with two bros, right?
Yeah, two bros, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, it's going to be really good to obviously dive into that, because my first time competing was a long time ago now. That was 2014. G even said to me in the gym earlier, do you remember the first time we competed?
So long ago.
Yeah, it's just about. And G, you're a bit of an old timer now as well, because you competed four years ago, technically.
COVID happened, so that year doesn't count.
Yeah, no, 4 years ago, 2019. So we've got kind of like, brand new last year. G 2019 and me. Well, how long ago is 2014?
Way
8 years?
Too far ago.
No, more than that. Quick maths. 9?
9 years.
Yeah, that is a long time. Oh my god.
Wow, you're old.
I've nearly been competing 10 years. Jesus Christ. So, Katlyn, how did you find it?
Mixed emotions, really. It was obviously very difficult, but I did enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah,
it's a weird feeling, really. Put yourself through hell, but I'd do it again. Like,
it is weird. Would you consider yourself hooked after doing it for the first time?
Yeah, a lot of people say that it seems like I've got like the bug. Like, that feeling on stage, like I'd do it again, over and over.
It is really strange, isn't it? Because especially for your first prep, because you don't know what that reward is yet of getting on stage. So you go through those hard days.
You win money? Do you win, like, what do you win? And I was like, well, you're lucky if you get a medal, really, but it's a big experience. Like,
yeah, it is just like that, isn't it? Like, we do go through a lot, but you don't really know until you've done it, until you've stepped on stage and you've got that sort of feeling of self-accomplishment.
Like that. I was like, oh my god, I've done it. Like, I got there. Because you see so many people who like don't make it all the way through. So just that feeling to actually have finished it completely was like an accomplishment in itself, really.
100%. I say it all the time that I've got the utmost respect for anyone that steps on stage, because it takes a hell of a lot to achieve.
I said that after, like, I didn't realise like how much people put into it, and like I respect people so much more now who have, completed a prep and competed, because before I had no idea what you go through.
Yeah. So how long was your prep?
19 weeks, because it was more of like, I didn't really prepare for it. I kind of just like spoke to Amanda on the phone, and then it was a bit like, we're doing it tomorrow. And I'd like, I'd gone shop and I was like, shit, I'm starting prep tomorrow, like just like that. So just, 19 weeks.
Crikey. So you just kind of went for it. So did you do like a building phase or anything before? You literally...
No, I've literally I played football before, so I started going gym, but I hadn't even been training that long, maybe like just over a year, like properly. I didn't bulk or anything. Like, I just done like a PT and nutrition, so I kind of then started to understand the nutrition side of it and kind of bring it into my own training. And then kind of just, I hadn't bulked or anything or built, done a building phase. I just went for it. I just thought, why not? Like, what have I got to lose, kind of thing.
I think that's the thing as well, because that's so similar to my prep, isn't it? Like,
Which one?
My first one, like, as in I didn't like build or anything beforehand. It was like, I kind of spoke about it. You said, why don't I do it? I knew nothing about it. I just had it. I found someone and was like, would you coach me? And they were like, yeah, okay. And it wasn't like I didn't do any research into it or anything. And just, I think as well, once you're in it, you see so many people doing a building phase and a prep before the prep and all this, and it's very uncommon to then suddenly see someone that has just gone, I'm gonna prep, and to see what happens, because you see a lot of people going, oh, I want to bring my best to the stage, so I'm going to do all this stuff first. And I was someone that was just like, and at my prep, I think my first one was 16 weeks. And I just like went in and just, I didn't know what I was doing.
That is the benefit of having a coach, though. So
Yeah.
you were with Mags, I think, weren't you,
Mhm.
the first one, and then obviously you're with Amanda. So it really can help, because if you're a first timer and you just go for it just like that, without doing, you know, without the most respect, without doing loads of research into it first, like, it's really easy to fail, because there's so many things that could go wrong, or you could turn up on show day completely out of shape. Like, so that is the benefit of having a coach, like laying it all out there for you to follow and have that guidance there. So did you put much work into posing and things like that as well?
I kind of like, I did start posing, but I think I left it very last minute. Like, I've never wore heels before, so that in itself was a big thing, trying to walk in heels. And I think I was getting really close. I was probably like 6 weeks out, and I was like, shit, like, I've really got to crack on, because I neglected it so long. I was so, more like focused on the cardio and the training and the nutrition side of it. I kind of neglected it, and I was like, oh no, like, it is a big thing, like stage presence. I just crammed like as much as I could, and just I left it a bit late, I think. But
so lesson to anyone listening that's a first timer: you get on with your posing. Because I was very similar in the sense of I didn't know that posing was such a big thing. Like, and I post a lot of my before videos of me stomping around on stage. I didn't know what was happening where, with my arms swinging all over the place. But when you've got someone telling you actually it's really important, and then you're like, oh my god, actually it could be the deciding factor between placings if you spent time like bringing your best. And also, you put all that work in when you want photos and you know a bit about posing, you look back at the photos and you're like, god damn it, like, if only I'd actually posed.
Because I remember, I think I
was going to say, how did you find it on the day? Did you manage it all okay?
Yeah, I think my first, because I went on for first timers, but I was at the front as well, so I was literally like the first person on stage, and like, I remember just like shaking, like my legs were jelly, and like I thought I was gonna fall over. Honestly, it was the scariest thing in my life. And I remember, like, Amanda obviously told me afterwards, my first walk, like you said, my hands were like, I didn't even know what I was doing. They were swaying, like they were not in sync at all, and it was a mess. And then I think obviously then you go on for like placing and stuff like that. And I did 2 different categories. So by the time I'd been on once, I'd got a lot better, and I kind of like calmed down a bit, and then I obviously got it all like I'd practiced. But my first walk was awful. I was literally like trotting along, like shaking. Like, I think I tried to do like my turn, and I remember watching a video back, and my heel, like, it almost went, like, my legs were literally like this. It was awful. So scary.
You can relate to that big time. G is a big shaker backstage. So she's so much better now, but I remember like her first few shows. Jesus Christ. Have you ever seen the war movies? You know, where they're like shaking before they go over the top and stuff? It was like that. It was just like that. It was like she was going to war or something.
Stressed. I'm not very good. So that's the thing as well. So they tell you, like, the biggest thing is that you do all this for the one day, and like a lot of people do it because they love the show day. But obviously you know that show day is like 3% of your journey, isn't it? So you've got to love the training. Well, I say love, you're gonna have days that you want to tell it to fuck off, but you're gonna like you've got to embrace every part of that. And whereas I'm very much like, yeah, it's fine, I'll push for the cardio, I'll push for the training, and I'll have my low calories. Like, as soon as it comes to a show day, which everyone actually really immerses themselves in, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so out of my comfort zone, because I'm not someone that's like stick a spotlight on me. So yeah, I'm someone, so that's been another section we've been speaking about, like with other podcasts, where like speaking about anxiety and nerves, because that's something that can be like your make or break as well, because then you put all that work in, and then you because you haven't practiced your posing or something, can flip a switch because you get so nervous. So that's why I try and drum it into myself now, let alone everyone else.
I think like backstage, everyone was just like, those girls that were so confident, they stood in the mirror posing, like prancing around, like doing all this, and I think I just sat on the floor like this, like, and Amanda was like just pep talking me, and I was just literally sat there like, I can't do it, like I was so scared, because stage is not my thing at all, like. And I think I again like neglected that the whole prep. Like, I didn't even think about it until literally like the day, and I was like, shit, like I actually have to do this now. Like, you say it, and then it came to it, and I was like, oh my god, I actually have to do this now, because I've done all this work.
But now you've done it, do you think you'll be nervous as much the second time, or do you think you'll be okay?
As much, because I know what to expect, but obviously I think, I don't know, I think that'll always be a thing. Like that is just petrifying for me to be stood on a stage, let alone in high heels. Like that is, I come from a football background. I don't wear high heels. I'm just wearing boots, trainers.
Yeah, same as G. She basically just used to horseshoes, didn't you?
Horseshoes?
Not horseshoes. That's what horses are. Horse boots?
Yeah,
Or they called?
just say riding boots.
Riding boots. Yeah. So she's not used to wearing heels either. You don't wear heels, do you?
No.
So it's exactly the same. So that is definitely something first timers can take away straight away. Like don't neglect that aspect to it. You know, you are eventually going to have to get on stage. That's what you're prepping for, and you don't want to sort of blow it by not preparing and, you know, being, you know, petrified getting on stage, because you won't enjoy it as much if you're not like psychologically prepared. Some people are really good with it. I'm really lucky. I don't get nervous at all. I mean, we're talking about posing, but I'll be honest, like 2014, posing really wasn't much of a thing. Men's physique was only just starting then. I didn't do any posing. I got on stage, I didn't know what I was doing. Luckily, I winged it. But I'm one of these people that don't really get nervous. So I think you need to sort of assess when you're in prep, you know, are you the type of person to get nervous about things? And if you are, then it's going to be worth, you always want to prepare as best as possible, but almost over prepare. So if you're over prepared for your posing, your walk, you know you're going to nail it on stage, it can give you more confidence, so you're less nervous backstage, right?
And a few things I think that you could take away that will help, which I think would have helped me if I'd done it for my first time, because I just, you get, like you said, you get so stuck into the work that you go, yeah, I'm going to get on stage, but you haven't actually thought about what that entails. So things that can really help is, firstly, ask your coach, what is stage like, what is backstage like, what's the day going to be like? So like with us, with our clients, we will do a rundown of the day roughly based on what the show schedule is looking like, what class they're in, so they have a rough idea of what time they might be on, when they're going to check in, things like that. So do talk to your coach about things like that. If you haven't thought about the stage but you think you might get a little bit worried, show day YouTubes, so you get an idea of what the vibe's like and how people have been. And also, if you can, go watch some shows, because once you get in amongst it and you watch the shows and things, it's just going to give you an idea of that federation. It's going to give you an idea what the vibe's like. If you can watch some show day vlogs, then you can get an idea of, like, they'll be vlogging what backstage you might be like. And then also talking to your coach, because there's so many different things you can do backstage. Like, I know for a fact with me, I had to pull away from trying to be social because it was getting me too stressed, and I'd put headphones on and I would have like a playlist. And then I did have a couple, Alicante and then Arnold's the year before. I was actually really social. I took so many photos because I understood how I could kind of control my stress. But I know if I get stressed, I've got ways to combat that with thinking about, you know, my headphones and things like that. So definitely, if you do think you're going to be stressed, know there's ways to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy it. You do all that work.
100%. Katlyn, what made you go for two bros?
I really, like, I don't know. Like, I guess, again, like, I didn't know too much even about, like, you know, the federations, and like, I think Amanda, we just kind of spoke about it and just discussed that it would be the best option for me. I mean, I think, like, for next time, I'll definitely, like, you know, look at smaller shows and do a few more just to gain that, you know, experience and confidence. Because obviously that was quite a big show, and I think it just shocked me, if anything.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that can be a big aspect. So yeah, definitely research is 100% like the best thing you can do. I'll give a scenario. One of our clients that happened to this year. So basically, we've got a set amount of federations that we basically recommend clients to go for, especially first timers. And we had a client compete last year, right? And she really wanted to do another one. I won't mention which one it is because she didn't have a good experience, but we also got her to do one that we always advise first timers to do, which is UK Up, because they're just so friendly. We've both made friends for life from that fed.
It was my first time show, and it's the best experience. Yeah,
and generally people have a good time. But anyway, she did this other show first that she wanted to do. I will say it was a natural federation. Anyway, she did it and she had a terrible time. She almost wanted to quit bodybuilding because she really didn't enjoy herself. We managed to sort of keep her on it. 2 weeks later, she did UK Up. She had the most amazing experience, and she got the bug, and she can't wait to compete again. So that's how much difference a federation can seriously make. Because like you said earlier, you know, a lot of the girls at Two Bros, you know, they were posing in the mirror, really in the zone. And that's because Two Bros is, you know, is considered a really high up level. So they're going to be taking it a lot more seriously because they want to really go up the ranks. Not saying that people at UK Up don't take it seriously, but in general, it's a lot more friendly of a vibe. Even backstage, you know, people want to help each other out, and the organisers as well, they're a lot more involved into each individual journey. So I think that's really, really important for a first timer to really have a think about which fed you want to go for. Depends what you want to get out of it, because some people want to just go for a pro card straight away. If they have got really good genetics, they look fucking amazing, then they might just want to go straight for Two Bros. For someone that just wants to have fun for their first time, then they might want to look at another fed such as NFM or UK Up.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it is definitely one of those things where have a look around, because there is a kind of I guess a tier system with federations, with what kind of level of athlete to a degree you're going to get. It's not to say it's a very broad spectrum. You're going to get complete first timers at like Two Bros, and then you're also going to get like you'll see PCA first timers is such a good example. PCA first timers, the standard is so shit hot, like it's absolutely insane. So just because it says first timers, you're going to get some amazing standards there still. So it's about doing a little bit of research, going to some shows, having a look what the vibe's like. And yeah, if you just want to go in because you've worked so hard, you don't want to spend, you know, 16, 20 weeks, maybe 24 of your prep busting so hard to then have a really bad show day, because like I said, that's like 3% of it, but that's what you've been working for. So knowing that you've got a few feds that you can have fun with, PCA is always a good vibe. Two Bros is a good vibe, but like, yeah, you'll see a few people. Like I went there last year. Now that's weird, but I was still midway through my prep. I just had to do it as a qualifier, and I felt so incredibly uncomfortable. But I knew some of the girls there, and they were super lovely. But yeah, UK Up is very much of a, like, I think the more you can, if you want to make friends and make, like, smile at people, they're going to be more friendly back. But it's, yeah, how you're perceiving each show, the reason you're doing each show, if it's for fun, if it's to truly be competitive, what you want to achieve out of it, and then kind of then think about your options from there.
UK Up also give you free pizza after the show, which is pretty cool.
Getting there very quick though, because people are in like seagulls.
Yeah, I didn't get any last year. I was absolutely gutted.
I got some on my first year, only because I hid it.
This is the reason why I didn't get any this year, because of people like Jordan. She just ordered it all.
And they brought pizza, and I knew everyone was going to eat that pizza. And did they? Yes, they did. So if I didn't hide my 3 slices of pizza, you wouldn't have got a bit. I hid 3 because Matt was at. It wasn't 3 for me, I wish it was. I had to share with Matt. But if I hadn't hidden those bits of pizza, I would have come off the overalls, and I would have had a pizza.
You would have been fuming.
Would have been fuming. I would say I would have traded my overall for a pizza. What a winning medal. Anyone got spare pizza?
It would have been a bad car ride home for me, that's for sure. So what's your plan now, Katlyn? Are you going to be competing this year, next year?
No, I'm thinking 2024, because I had like, obviously I'm at uni at the minute, and the last like 3 weeks of prep, I had like a massive move. I moved up to Plymouth, I started uni, and the last 3 weeks of prep at uni were practically impossible. Like, you know, my lecturer was talking, it was going in one ear, out the other. I wasn't even there, I wasn't functioning. Like, I think I was just walking out crying because I had no clue what was going on. I was up in the clouds towards the end. I just think like I couldn't do it again at uni, and especially in my last year. So, and again, like I had never really had a building phase, so I think I need to take the time out now to, you know, grow some tissue and actually put some time into growing, so then I can come back bigger and better.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. But that is a very good point, to be fair, because yeah, at uni, but it could also relate to work. If you've got like a really, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like an important job, because every job's important.
Well,
like,
on my first prep, I was a vet nurse, and I had night shifts where I was left alone solo with obviously medications and things like that. So Yeah, so I would go in, and obviously I knew I had inpatients and the animals and everything, and they had meds throughout the night. So I would get up, or I would draw all their medications up and have them taped to their sheets with times and names and everything still on their sheets. And before the nurse left and I was then all night, I'd have all the drugs out, and I'd have all the vials for where I've drawn the drugs. So it wasn't just a syringe and I said, this was whatever was in it. I had the vial there so they could match it all up, and I was right all the time. But you just can't afford to slip up, like when it comes to that, when you are that fatigued and that tired. So I always made sure I taped everything to the sheets. I had a million alarms on my phone. I got them 20 times over, and then I'm good to go.
Yeah. It's definitely something that needs to be thought about, like, because brain fog is 100% a thing.
So, yeah, it really is. It was awful because before I came to you, the whole time on prep, I was working in a bakery with pasties and cakes every day, and just the smell, like, it was driving me insane. Honestly, like, it was horrible.
Honestly, I don't know how people don't. One of our friends is, one of our clients is a baker, so he works in the bakery all the time on prep. Don't know how he does it. And then our other friend, Sarah, and Vicky, they've done preps whilst, you probably know as Cookie Box, right? You know Cookie Box?
Yeah.
She's done prep and she makes like hundreds of those a day. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. But that's certainly something you need to think about.
Like, I just smell it. Every time it came out the oven, I was just smelling it. But then, like, I was like, right, I'm definitely having one of these, like, post-show, like, pasty, like, straight away. And then it came to it and I was like, oh, no, I don't want a pasty anymore. Like, just wound me up that whole time. And then when it came to it, I just didn't even bother me.
Oh, that's a shame. It wasn't like a satisfying moment.
Yeah, when I was at the vets, there was always food. Like, before I started prep, I was always known as the person that ate all the food because I got such a sweet tooth. So there's always biscuits, always chocolates. And then I didn't really tell them for the first few weeks because it's a typical, like, bunch of females in a way, like, I'm starting a diet, they eat leaves for a while and then they stop, so they wouldn't really understand. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep quiet. But obviously I was the one that ate all the biscuits, so the biscuits are left on the side and people are like, why have we suddenly got all these biscuits? And then towards the end of my prep, I was just like, oh my god, can you all just finish these damn biscuits, because they're always left out, and stop buying more biscuits if you're not finishing the biscuits we've got. And I was getting so angry because there was so much food around because I wasn't finishing them, but they kept buying more.
Never known anyone get so angry over biscuits.
Biscuits, cakes, and Fat Friday every day of the week.
Fat Friday.
It's like, god damn it, you don't need any more Fat Fridays.
So yeah, that's another good point for first timers then. Like, assess like your surroundings. Like, are you going to be surrounded by food all the time? Because that could be a challenge. But again, going back to the brain fog, if you've got a job that's really important to be on the ball all the time, like a dentist. Imagine you're a dentist and you've got brain fog. You might pull the wrong teeth out or something. That'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? You get in a lot of trouble. You get a load of trouble. So that's something you definitely need to take into account, I think.
I think as well, leading on to that is thinking about peak week. So, you know, towards the end of your prep, if you've got holiday, if you haven't actually got holidays planned, but you have holiday to take, definitely try and take the last week and definitely peak week off. Because if you, firstly, stress levels, if you can keep stress down, and secondly, you know, you don't want to be, when you're planning up for a show, you want to be chilled, you want to be excited, you want to be packing your bag, you know, you want to be checking in with your coach probably more often throughout that week. So if you can take that week off, that's a good thing to do, because then you're not stressing around work and getting everything ready for the show. You want a nice calm, you know, you just want to be focused on that. You spent all that time prepping. If you can take peak week off, or even the last few days, then that's going to be the best thing to do, because it's just going to help you mentally more than anything.
100%. I mean, it's not a necessity.
No.
But it would certainly help, especially if like your body does respond really well to like carb manipulation, you know. So like say for example, you carb backload, so the first half of the week you don't eat any carbs. I don't know if you had to do that at all, Katlyn, on your prep, but
I didn't really. Obviously my carbs got cut like right down towards the end. I obviously, you know, I'm quite small, so I didn't have any like carb load or anything like that. So I was just depleted literally until I think the day before.
And then was it burgers and fries?
It was steak and what was it? Truffle chips, I think it was.
Was it? That's very specific.
I wish I could have that. I can't.
Yeah,
found obviously like we were looking for steak, so like obviously lean meat, and then I just fancied chips.
That's fair.
Fries or like truffle chips, and then obviously I was trying to go for like the best option, and I just looked at Amanda and I was like, please, can I just have truffle chips? Like, cheese is my favorite food. And she was like, go on then. And I was like, yes.
Oh, that would have royally screwed me. So that again is funny how everyone's so completely different of what they can have in the lead up, let alone the night before. Like, some people can carb up, some people do have like the burger and chips, some people carb up on like just loads of bagels or something, and then there's me that gets
that'd be game over for G.
Chicken.
Game over.
I get egg whites and salt.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a strange one. Okay, so we've got a few questions through. I'm going to reel them off. We can answer them as a sort of group. So this is Katlyn's first podcast, so I don't want to put her on the spot with anything. Okay, so the first one, we kind of answered that already, actually. It's like, how do you know which federation to go for?
Yeah, I think we've kind of
covered we covered that. So just do your research, ask your coach for their opinions on it as well, and maybe even ask some people that have already competed in that fed. If you message them, I'm sure they're going to be quite honest about how they got on and how they found it. So I think that would be a good one. And look up YouTubes
for people that might have competed within those feds, because that will give you a good insight.
It's another reason why we vlog all of our client shows, just to give other people experience of what it might be like to compete in that fed. Yeah. So oh, what was that, Katlyn?
I watched quite a few of your vlogs in the lead up of like all your different client shows, like, different feds. And
oh, nice. Did you find it helpful?
Yeah, because obviously everyone had a different experience in their show, so it just gave insight to variation. And
yeah, it's a good idea. So yeah, if anyone listens to this, feel free to check that out, because like any of our clients that did that, they'd be more than happy, I'm sure, if you message them as well and ask them what their experience was like. So that's a really good idea. So question number 2 is things you wish you knew that no one told you about competing. I think the Shiwi one was a good one. Like you two were talking about that earlier.
But I think, I had so much going on. That is one thing I did forget.
Yes, so basically, you unless you've seen vlogs and things like that, firstly, you will tan butt naked amongst a few other gals that you don't know. That does include bending over from the back so you can get your bum. So it is to be prepared. Just get naked, embrace it. You'll make eye contact with girls while you're naked. You'll stand there cold and while you dry, still naked. And then just embrace that experience. And then once you've got your tan, you don't want to ruin your tan. So you might have heard a lot of people talking about cups or shiwis. So basically, I didn't know whether we were talking about this in gym earlier. I knew you had a cup. I didn't know what you were meant to do with the cup. I knew it was for going to the toilet, so you didn't sit on the toilet seat and ruin your tan. And also, obviously, when you went to the toilet, you didn't ruin your tan. So it's like, do you just wee in the cup and then empty the cup down the toilet? Do you make I made a hole in the cup, but again, I wasn't told. You just don't get told this stuff. So I made a hole in the cup, and then I just took a gazillion cups with me, because I was like, do you dispose of said cup after you've used it? Even though, do you wash it out? I don't know. But if you level up and get a shiwi, you do not need to ruin your tan sitting on the toilet seat or have any accidents by ruining your tan. So I can honestly say, get a shiwi and understand that you will be naked for your tans, but you're all in the same boat. So just make friends while you're there. Compliment someone's boobs. Tell them they look good.
Lads, don't do that. Don't compliment someone's dick. That was a terrible idea.
But you have it. It's like men's physique. You can wear shorts because you have to wear board shorts anyway. And men's bodybuilding, they just put a little sock on, don't they?
Put a little sock on, yeah. I mean, some men's physique guys just put a little sock on. Yeah, depends what you fancy doing on the day. But yeah, men's physique, you can get away with just wearing your pants. Whereas
girls, you cannot, because obviously the tanners do not know what bikini you've got. The bikini, especially the bottom, is obviously very thin. So they want to make sure that you cover all bases. So that's going to be the main thing, I think, that shocks people the most, is the fact that, you see all the glam of show day, your makeup, your hair and everything. Actually, you will feel like a gremlin about the week before, because you can't shave for a while, because then you've got a defluff like a couple days before. Then you've got to make sure that you are nice and pasty, because you're exfoliating your skincare. So in the lead up to it, you will have to just ride the wave, and know that one of the best sayings I have posted before is Gollum to gorgeous. I like that saying, because you feel like an absolute gruffalo, and then ta-da, it's happened. So...
How did you find all that, Katlyn?
Awful. Awful.
So bad.
He didn't think, like, obviously you went like butt naked, and obviously the whole thing of bending over, and I was just like in shock. And again, like the shiwi, like I walked out the tanning room, I went toilet like straight away, and the tan just ran all down my leg because I was trying to hover over the toilet. It was a nightmare. And literally within 30 seconds I went back in and I went, I fucked my tan. And they were like, oh my God. And they said, have you got a shiwi? And I was like, no. Like, no, I don't. Sort my tan out.
So they made you bend over again, basically.
Yeah, and then freeze to death drop.
What I don't like about the tanning is it's cold. It's always cold, isn't it?
So cold. And then you have to normally stand in front of a fan.
And your body fat percentage obviously is so low. Like, goosebumps everywhere.
Yeah, so that's
horrible.
Not fun. Anything else? Anything else you wish you knew before competing?
That everyone is a lot friendlier if you just step out of your comfort zone to be friends with people, because you remember you're all in the same boat. So I remember I didn't really know anyone. Also, especially as a girl, it's a bit different for guys because you'll recognize everyone. But if you've made friends along the journey, it happened with me anyway, and you get to know them through their Instagrams, and then you see them on the day when they're all glammed up, you might not recognize who they are. So just ride the wave, get a photo and get them to tag themselves, and then you'll know who they are.
Saying that, like, I was getting my makeup done, and a couple of my mates come up to support me, and I messaged her and I was like, I'm literally freezing in here, can you bring me a coat? And she walked into the room where I was getting my makeup done, and she kind of like looked at me and was like, oh yeah, just like being really nice. And then she said to one of the makeup artists, she was like, oh, I'm looking for my friend, like she's getting her makeup done. And I was like, I am literally sat right here. I had like full glam. She just didn't even recognise me, and they all just burst out laughing.
To be fair, that did happen to us, like the blokes as well. It does happen because it, like, again, you just get so lean in the face, you get spray tanned. Yeah. So it does happen with the blokes. So for girls, it must definitely happen a lot. So I totally get that.
And yeah, just make, like, know you're all in the same boat. And 99% of all girls that I have met have been the friendliest girls in the world. Like, I've made my friends for life through competing. So if you're a bit nervous, just reach out. Even if you just say to the person next to you, I'm a little bit worried or whatever, there'll be someone to make you feel better backstage. So don't ever feel like you are alone backstage, because if you don't have your coach, you know, whether they're a first timer or not, the girls are always friendly. I think it gets very stereotyped that it might be quite bitchy because it's a load of girls, but it really, really isn't. The girls are the nicest people. So that's where you'll find a lot of your friends. So don't be scared to like reach out and ask questions.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Right, next question is, how do you know if you're ready to compete for the first time? And I think that one, I mean, some people are very spontaneous, like you and Katlyn. You just decided to just go for it.
Don't know if you don't know.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm really big on that. I love that, because I know a lot of people that have said that they're going to compete, and they've said it for years and years. And like, I'll compete when I'm big enough. I'll compete when I've done this, done that. And they never get around to it. So sometimes you've just got to say, fuck it, I'm going to go for it, and just get stuck in. That being said, if you only are one of these people that only wants to compete if you know you can win, I would say make sure that you've got a good coach on board that can give you that go ahead, basically, that nod to say, yeah, you're looking great, you've got a really good shot, now's the time to prep. But otherwise, yeah, if you just want to give it a try, see what it's like, see if you enjoy it, I say you just get stuck in.
Yeah, I think it depends what you want to bring to that stage, isn't it? If you want to bring your best possible package, at the time, remember, it's always evolving. You're always going to make yourself better. So we've got a few girls on the team which are competing this year, but they were actually doing like a pre-prep and a building phase and everything last year to then get their body in a really good spot. So, you know, their hormones are healthy, they've spent some time building some muscle, fine-tuning their training, understanding what it's all about and making sure that they do enjoy it to then prep this year. And then, yeah, again, they've spent that time to bring their best. But of course, if they decide to go again, that you understand what you're getting yourself in for after you've done the first show, don't you, then to then go, okay, now like let's level it up again. And then that's when you get that bug to be like, I'm going to be better again. So I think that's the main thing, is think about where you're at currently with your physique as well. You know, if you go, let's do a prep, and you're on like 1,200 calories and you're been doing all this cardio and you go, I'm going to just prep, but you've got quite a lot of body fat, you're just going to make things really hard for yourself.
Yeah.
So where you are body composition wise, and then also with things like training and cardio, they should be other variables to think about. But yeah, just think about everything as a whole and just get in touch with people and ask.
Yep. Okay, so we had a little break there, unintentional break. It's just because the 45-minute session cut off. We were planning to just keep these under 45 minutes, just keep them short and snappy, but I feel like we're always going to go over. So basically, I just need to stop being a cheapskate and upgrade to the Zoom settings. So I'm going to do that for the next podcast. Right, so we were talking about how do you know if you're ready for the first time? And G makes a very good point. So I said, yes, if you're feeling spontaneous, if you just want to, you know, experience what it's like getting on stage, then just go for it. But at the same time, you do need to be in the best possible position to go for that, you know, because if your thyroid's off, for example, if your calories are already super low, if your body composition's really, really high, then you're definitely not in the right position to go in for a prep. And if you are like brand new to any exercise at all, and you've got like fuck all muscle mass, then there's no point in doing a bodybuilding show. That's another point. Cool. So another question we had was, did we ask that one? We haven't asked that one. If you could compete as a first timer again, what would you do differently? So that'd be good to hear from you, Katlyn.
What would I do differently? I would make sure that I prioritize my posing a lot more than I did. 100%. Probably just do a bit more research. Like I said, I kind of went in a little bit blind. Like I'd probably prepare for it a bit more. Like I kind of just, I'm going to do it the next day I started, and you know, I hadn't looked into it enough really to expect what was coming. Everything that I did like conquer came as a bit of a shock every time, like things to overcome. So I think, yeah, I'd mentally prepare myself a little bit more. Like, you know, my cardio at one point was like an hour 15 stairs in the morning, fasted, and I had no idea it was going to get to that point. So that was a shock. But yeah, just mentally prepare a bit more, I think. Look into it. Make sure it's what you want to do.
That's fair. That is fair. Because when you're like 3/4 of the way through a prep, for example, and you're already so deep, you never want to pull out anyway, do you? You want to just finish the job.
Yeah.
That's why we get quite a few girls, if they've thought about it but they're not quite sure, do a photo shoot first. So we had a couple girls that have done a photo shoot in the past, and then they've enjoyed that because they've still treated it like a prep. You still see what muscles underneath, you still see if you can have that accountability, but without all the financial cost as well as the pressure of the show. And then if they've enjoyed it, they've got a plan to then come back and do it again bigger and better next time. Or if they're in really good condition, you could go on and do a show a few weeks after your photo shoot if you've really nailed it. But it kind of gives you an idea about putting the pressure on. But that's always something as well. But I would say mine's the same. Like posing, definitely, I didn't know how important it was going to be. And surround yourself, again, because we were informal at the time. I didn't know that many people that competed. Matt kind of was doing the show with me, but mainly for support. You didn't really take it that seriously, did you, at all? So I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So having the right people around you definitely helps, as well as like watching YouTubes and all that kind of stuff as well. It just gives you an idea, because there are quite a lot of people. It is becoming more of a thing, especially if you're doing the prep before the prep. You're getting yourself really immersed in it. But if it's just like a decision where you're like, I've seen these girls in bikinis on stage, like how can I do that? Then yeah, definitely do a little bit of research, because it is what I had a question the other day of, do the pros of competing outweigh the cons? Because obviously you see a lot of people that it is hard, it's so hard, and then the reverse out of it is just as hard. But if it was that crap, you know, some people it isn't for them, but they do for, you know, if you do see the pros to it all, they do outweigh the cons because of what you get out of it, not only physically but mentally. Like my mindset was so different after the first show, because I proved to myself what I could truly do when I pushed so hard. Not only just the prep, but just the whole show day, getting on stage and being amongst it all and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I think mine, so what would I do differently? Bearing in mind, remember, this was a long time ago, I would pick shorts that fit.
Oh yeah. Not like cardboard, they look like starch things, don't they?
They were awful, really bad. Yeah, but they were that bad fitted, but also they weren't the right size, so they were like falling down all the time. So I nearly walked out on stage with the shorts falling down.
They're
So
too big.
what's that?
My bottoms were too big.
Were they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, pull me up on it. I think they were a bit just a bit gapey. That last week I dropped like a kilo in water weight, and I think they kind of just didn't sit properly.
I think
that's a good point.
I
We
think
should
that
go into
that is a good thing in the sense of, yeah, I was going to say about I see a few gals that try, and I competing is so expensive and it's so much harder. No offense to the guys, but it is harder being a gal. Your bikini costs a shit ton of money, your shoes cost a shit ton of money, your makeup, if you can't do makeup by yourself and you're going to pay someone, you know, you go through all of that like prep. You want to make sure you're not cutting corners. Like my first bikini it fit okay, it wasn't great. Ever since I've been with Bikini Boutique, who Amanda's with as well, and Sammy's so spot on with her bikinis. Like if you have a fault, she'll help you, she'll fix it, she gets the right details, her quality's good. Like you put in all that work, do make sure you save to then, you know, get the best makeup on stage, get the best, so you are bringing your best, because you don't want to do all that and then be like, oh, if only I, you know, didn't half-ass my makeup and I actually put some lashes on, or whatever it is, you know, those little things, as weird as they may seem if you're not used to it. Like I wasn't like you, same as me, not used to getting your makeup done, but it brings that look to that stage. So yeah, I think that is
one thing we haven't touched on actually, you know, the money aspect. How much it costs.
Yeah.
Did you realize how much it would cost, Katlyn, before you did it?
Yeah, that is one thing I actually did prepare myself for. I obviously knew it was like a costly sport, so I did sit down and I worked out, you know, how much coaching would cost, how much my bikini was going to cost, shoes, makeup, hair, etc., etc. And then I did, you know, make a total, and then like I had to work obviously over the summer, so I had to work out how many hours I had to work to earn this amount of money and to make sure it all worked. Really, yeah.
That is good. That is good that you looked into it, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. And like G said, blokes do tend to have it a lot easier. I mean, a pair of board shorts, like even proper men's physique fitted shorts, they're about 40 quid, 50 quid. So they're really not a lot of money. And we don't have to worry about, you know, makeup, hair, shoes, yeah.
Just trunks on barefoot, clomping away.
Any of that kind of stuff. So it is a lot cheaper for guys compared to girls. And I would say, generally, girls, you get what you pay for. If you pay for a more expensive bikini, it's a better bikini. It's not like they just do it cheaper. It's not as good as a more expensive bikini usually.
So shameless plug, Sammy at Bikini Boutique, Georgia 10 gets you discount, just saying. But she is actually really good. Like honestly, she supported me loads. But the quality of the bikinis, and posing bikini or show day bikini are really good. Like I've gone through you can talk to her about colors, about, you know, pricing, and you can get rentals as well. So, you know, that is something to bear in mind as well, because it is a lot of money for a bikini. That the amount of times I've had comments from people that don't compete, they find out how much a bikini is and they go, oh Jesus, what can you do in that for all that money? Like, well, nothing. You wear it the once, and because you don't want the same stage shots, you don't even wear it for another show. You want to wear a different bikini. So rental could be the way forward. So looking into like other bikinis that are rental bikinis, because you wear it the once and then you obviously you can sell it on, but yeah,
it might be an idea. I'm just going to run a quick cost breakdown actually, because if I was a first time listening to this, I'd want to know roughly prices, right? So for guys, board shorts 40-50 quid. You got your tan, which you can do yourself. You can save money on tan, but depending on the federation, you do kind of need to get it right. So PCA is obviously a lot darker, and it depends on the fed. If you do it yourself, you can get a bottle for about 50 quid, right? All your bottles. So your base coat, your top tan, and also the glaze. About 50 quid. Or you can, and that will probably last you 2 or 3 shows. 2 or 3 shows. Or you can pay for backstage tan, which is usually about 70 quid, depending on the show again.
2 Bros is a little bit more.
Yeah, especially the pro qualifiers.
Broad spectrum, like PCA, UK Up, NFM, they're all around 60-70 quid for your base coat and your top coat. Yeah.
Now, show entries, again, it's going to really vary per federation. Each one's different. So again, for example, 2 Bros, you have to pay for your NPC membership, and then you got to pay for your entries into the shows. The NPC membership isn't very much. I think that was like 50 quid. But then your entries into the shows, I think they're about £100, aren't they? 110?
Yeah.
And then a pro qualifier is usually about 200. So it's a bit more money. But then that's on the more expensive end of the spectrum. Then you can go to, you know, some feds that are a lot cheaper than that. For example, again, UK Up, I think their memberships are around...
But they're about 60.
So around 60
With
quid.
your classes, you get your first class free.
First class for free.
And then your second one is about 20 quid.
Yeah. So there's a lot cheaper ways to do it on that regard.
PCA is about like 30 quid membership and 35 a class. So it's about 70
yeah,
quid.
Yeah.
So all around the ballpark, 70 quid to over 100.
And that is pretty much it when it comes to guys, unless you obviously pay for posing lessons and coaching on top. So it's not too much of an expensive sport for guys, but you also need to think about if you're going to pay for accommodation overnight the night before, and obviously travel expenses as well. For girls,
you have shoes, average around £100 for a pair of shoes. Unless you get the, you know, second hand, you get anything in sale, you can borrow a pair of shoes, but average is around £100. It might be a little bit less again, depending clear, the Monte shoes, all those kind of things. So about £100. Your bikini can vary between anywhere between, say, a rental £200-300 to it could be £400-500 for an actual bikini. It could be more if you're depending. If you're going for like pure elite style bikini, just to throw another curveball in there, they tend to be a lot more decorative, put it as that, rather than standard. They might be more again. But on average, yeah, rental, you're looking at maybe if you can find one for like 150 or whatever, but you've got obviously Bikini Boutique, you've got Black Ice, you've got Georgia Rose, you've got Bikini Mama, you've got a few there that all do rentals as well. And then you can have different coverage of bikinis. So that's where your prices change depending on how much coverage you get. And also you want to look in, depending what federation you get or you enter, you will change your bikini cut, which I won't go into too much detail, but that's where your research needs to come in to know what bikini you're getting, coverage, all that kind of stuff. So average between rental to buying could be anywhere between £200 to £500 bikini. Hair could be about 7 quid. I've always done hair myself. I just curl it or whatever. But if you want to get your hair done, it's normally around 70 quid. Makeup is anywhere between 70 to £90 as well.
Which you can do yourself again. We do know people that have done it themselves. However, you can sometimes get marked down a little bit for it.
Yeah, especially because you've got to remember bikini is your overall presentation as well. They are marking muscularity, balance, shape, your condition, but they are going to mark you on obviously your presentation, hence posing, but they are going to mark you on your overall look as well. Bikini is a pretty thing. So that's why hair and makeup does impact things. So I've only recently tried to learn how to do makeup, but it is very glam. Like as we've said, you don't even recognize people once they've had their glam makeup because you're on the stage lighting, it's very, very bright. You need to stand out in a good way. Remember, we're not trying to be drag queens, even though the makeup feels like it's that thick. But you want big lashes, you want like obviously your makeup to match your tan. That's going to be a massive thing as well. So I've always paid for, until this most recent last year, I've always paid for makeup and I've always paid for my tan just to take the guesswork out of it, because like Matt said as well, your tans could be a different colour to what might be on stage, because again, it depends on how the federations, if they dilute their tan, how dark their coats go. Like PCA is very light until you add the top coat, whereas other federations you come up dark and their top coat's light, and you know, it's what you want to kind of, you don't want to stand up for the wrong reasons. That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah,
100%. We actually got marked down for our tan at the Alicante show, right? We thought it'd be absolutely fine because they use something out there called Top Tan, and we just bought Top Tan. We thought it'd be absolutely fine. Anyway, we were applying it the night before and the day of, and it was just awful.
They said you only get dark at all. 3 coats, and we put like 5 on, and it still wasn't dark.
It was nowhere near dark enough. So, and we essentially just ran out of time. We couldn't apply enough layers before it was time to go on stage. So yeah, it is usually much safer to just get them to just do your tan, especially for your first time. It just takes another layer of stress completely out of it. So is that all the costs? Any other costs, Katlyn? Oh, the shiwi.
Yeah, shiwi.
Shiwi and jewelry, because jewelry does matter. I think did you wear earrings?
Yeah, I did. I wore like these long little dangly diamante ones.
Oh, you've got your ears pierced. I think I'm the only bikini competitor that doesn't wear earrings. I don't even wear clip-ons. I just don't wear earrings. I did with bracelets.
Yeah.
I think I had a bracelet on each hand and I had a ring, but I didn't do earrings.
Well, how you can do earrings if you haven't got
Yeah,
ears
you could
pierced.
clip them once.
Oh, can you?
I was worried I'll do like a hair flip when I push my hair to the back and I'll just flip something down. It would be my luck. I'm so clumsy.
That's probably something I prepared for, actually, was like, I think I might have caught my earring at one point. Like, I'd never tried them on until literally the day. And my hair's really long, and I think I might have got caught up when I did a bit of a flick, and I was like, oh God.
That's something for first timers, which they do say, practice posing with your bikini on and your jewelry on so you can get used to it. That's a big thing as well, just so you can get the feel of it. You know, don't just wait to show day, put it on beforehand and just get the feel of everything.
Good advice. Same with your men's physique shorts. Definitely same as that.
Because if they're too big, they'll pull down.
Yeah, for reasons. Yeah, 100%. So I think that covers all the costs, doesn't it? I can't think of anything else that costs.
Yeah.
But as you can tell, yeah, it's a little bit more pricey for girls. So don't let it put you off if you want to compete, but just bear it in mind. Like if you just need to save up a little bit more, then you might need to save up a little bit more. I mean, in some, like we've actually got it quite easy. I was listening to, he's a men's physique pro. He competed in the Olympia. It's called Joseph Sekabayan. And basically, it's hard for me to say that. I've been practicing. He basically had to save up his whole previous year so he could compete the next year. Just because of how much it does cost. So, you know, if you need to do that, then maybe that comes into the last question we had, you know, are you ready to compete? It could come down to finances as well. You do need to be able to afford it, especially if you are going to go for international shows, because obviously that's going to cost a lot more as well. So, yeah, that's another aspect to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Have we got anything else to cover, Katlyn, as a first timer perspective?
I don't think so.
Covered everything.
I think we've pretty much.
I mean, if
that.
there's ever anything else, if you are listening and you do have questions, then you can always drop us a message so we can help. But we've taken up a lot of time. Hopefully you can listen to us while you're doing cardio or steps.
Yeah. I think first timers has become a bit of a specialty for us. We're working with quite a lot of first timers. So if there is anyone listening to this that are thinking about competing for the first time, like G said, just feel free to message us. Or message Katlyn. I'm sure you're open to, you know, talking people through it and talking about your experience as well. And yeah, I think reaching out to people is the main thing. Get as much knowledge as you can before embarking on the journey.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I'd say is obviously like reverse dieting, like make sure you're prepared and aware of what that consists of, because I that is one thing I really struggled with, maybe even more than actually prep itself, like the dieting phase. I think afterwards I struggled a bit more.
100%. That is a very, very good point, actually.
It is something I stress all the girls that are on the team. I will always, like, I never want to like poo-poo the prep or poo-poo your show day experience by like being all doom and gloom about reverse, because it isn't about that. But I always want to make sure that the girls have gone in, if anything, thinking of like worst case scenarios. And I always say there's so many different ways to handle it. So you will feel all of these feelings about food, about yourself, about life, and these are all the ways we can combat things. And if one way isn't working, there's another way to do it. But yeah, the way you're going to feel with hunger, the way you're going to feel about your body might change, because obviously you just get so warped into this, I need to get lean for 20 weeks and being so controlled for 20 weeks that as soon as that goal's just moved out of the way, you're like, oh my God, just give me every food. And then, oh my God, I've now got digestive issues. I've got this, I've got that. But that can definitely be another podcast in itself.
Yeah, 100%. I think we have talked about post-show quite a few times. But in general, first time, I see it as an extension of prep.
Yeah.
The job isn't done just because you've got off stage.
Talk to your coach about it.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, great point there. I think that's pretty much it.
That's it.
Yeah. Cool.
Done.
Right, well, thanks for listening, guys. That was episode 10. Thanks for joining us, Katlyn. It's been great to have your perspective. Hopefully we haven't put anyone off competing.
No.
It is one of the most rewarding things you can do. I mean, there's a reason why all three of us want to compete again, you know. Like we've done it multiple times now. Katlyn, you competed for the first time last year, and you're already planning to go again in 2024. So it shows that the positives do far outweigh the negatives. It's just worth taking into account and knowing about those negatives before you start, I think, is the main thing. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We are going to be doing another one next week, which is going to be all about nutrition and how food can affect prep and your hormone function and vice versa. So that should be a really good episode. So we shall see you then. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.